This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Ukmade, and this is Africa Now. Rebels in Ethiopia's war-hit Tigray are opening a new front in the widening 8-month conflict by carrying out war operations against pro-government troops in neighboring regions. The Tigray War is an ongoing armed conflict that began in November last year. Last month, the war took a stunning turn when pro-TPLF forces retook Mekelle. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed declared a unilateral ceasefire, and the army mostly pulled out of Tigray. But after rebel leaders launched a new offensive intended to regain control of western and southern Tigray, Abiy vowed to repeal them. The African Union admits it is having difficulties in raising funds for a ready force to deal with emerging local security conflicts. A session of the African Union Peace and Security Council earlier this month agreed to continue pooling resources for the African Standby Force that was mooted 20 years ago, but slowly adopted as the policy ran into AU's own red tape. On Friday, the Council asked AU Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat to finalize the structure and financing model, especially for the logistics space, with the apparent low contribution from member states. Away from security matters to politics, journalist Ezra Abdel Fattah, a symbol of the 2011 revolution, and 5 other Egyptian activists were on Sunday freed by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, just days after the United States warned Cairo over a crackdown on rights activists. Ezra Abdel Fattah, charged with spreading false news and collaborating with terrorist groups, has a long history of activism and played a prominent role in the 2011 protests, which helped overthrow the decades-long rule of President Hosni Mubarak. Since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took power in 2014, the former army chiefs have overseen an unprecedented sweeping crackdown on dissent as described by human rights groups. The Algerian Foreign Ministry on Sunday recalled its ambassador to Morocco on Sunday over the latest flare-up of tension between the North African neighbor over the disputed territory of Western Sahara. Land borders between Algeria and Morocco have been seen short since the early 1990s over security, aggravating friction between Algiers and Rabat, whose relations have been worsening due to the conflict. The move was linked to comments from the Moroccan envoy to the United Nations on Algeria's Kabylie region. The ministry says after the envoy drew the region into decades-old rule over Western Sahara, which is claimed by Morocco as well as the Algerian-backed Polisario Front. 13 people have died and many others seriously burned from an overturned petrol tanker explosion on Saturday in western Kenya, the police says. The cargo exploded, engulfing those around in a fireboat who had shrunk to collect the spilling fuel. Fire crews arrived on the scene 2 hours later to douse the inferno, while those injured in the blast were taken to hospital. The cause of the explosion is not yet known. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching Africa Now. We move to business after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. In business, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries of increasing oil output by an initial 400,000 barrels per day has in turn increased Nigeria's oil output from about 1.4 million barrels per day to 1.8 million barrels per day by April 2020, a potential game changer for the economy. An increase in oil prices and output volume should help boost the external reserve positions of Nigeria because the country relies heavily on crude oil and gas exports for over 60% of the government revenues and over 85% of its foreign exchange earnings. Latest Central Bank of Kenya data shows that the bank lending to parastatals has dropped to 77.2 billion Kenya shillings, level last seen 4 years ago on mounting defaults as the financial institutions move to cushion themselves from further losses in the state-owned enterprises. The drop in parastatals loan booms comes back on the back of a Central Bank of Kenya report released in December last year, disclosing the bank's risks losing up to 100 billion shillings loaned to state entities. The regulator said parastatals had accumulated debt faster than private companies, but their assets are not growing, which means loans were not used prudently and hence their struggle to repay. A World Bank program to help medical clinics in Ivory Coast could spur the world's largest cocoa-producing country's development into a regional medical hub, Prime Minister Patrick Archie says on Sunday. Ivory Coast and the World Bank's International Finance Corporation signed a $300 million financing agreement on Friday to equip their private clinics and hospitals with essential medical equipment. Prime Minister Patrick Archie says one of the strong axes of the project is to ensure that Ivorians who have created clinics have the possibility of becoming hospitals and sub-regional hospitals so that Ivory Coast becomes a medical hub. And away from business, South African authorities are investigating a coastal chemical spill that may have been caused by a warehouse fire during the unrest this week in the port of Durban on Saturday. Residents have been warned against collecting and consuming marine species as they can affect individuals' health and avoid lagoon and seawater contact. At least 15 people are missing after a vessel sank off the coast of Liberia, the government and Coast Guard said on Sunday. Authorities received a distress signal from a vessel named Nico Ivanka late on Saturday, which left Monrovia on Saturday morning and was heading for the central port of Buchanan when it began to take on water. The vessel was not authorized to carry passengers and it had been earlier placed under detention orders because it was unseaworthy. And that is Africa Now. For more updates, to visit our website at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube to stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.